I think Bangladesh are not as good as they are in Mirpur elsewhere.
Akila Dhananjay has not had the best record in the most recent past.
Saja has presented us with one of the some of the most wonderful memories.
Onion රසට මංචිකෝමේ onion.
Hello and welcome to all our cricket fans joining us on Sri Lanka's number one sports hub, www.thepapare.com. Here we are again on Around the Wickets, hoping to chat about everything that is cricket locally and internationally because this week has been a terrific week for all Sri Lankan fans because we've been treated to some terrific cricketing by our cricket team who played in the first round of ICC World T20. Joining with me to chat about this is Sharmeegan Sridheran and Estelle Vasudevan, both from ThePapare.com cricket team, both with very, very happy faces. Like most of us, the cricket fans, we've had some very, very good results in the past week. But what we're going to do before we chat to these two is to go across and hear from Damit Veerasinghe, our very own representative at the ICC World T20 from ThePapare.com, giving us and telling us what he thought about Sri Lanka's performance in the first round.
Hello and welcome to ThePapare.com. I'm Damit Veerasinghe reporting from Saja Cricket Stadium. Sri Lanka have now won all their round one games in this ICC T20 World Cup. Excellent performance by the Sri Lankan bowlers. They've restricted Netherlands to just 44 runs in just 10 overs in the third game. In the previous two games also they've won against Namibia and Ireland. They've topped the Group A and now they will be playing in the Super 12s against Bangladesh, Australia, West Indies, England and South Africa. There was a little concern with Mahesh Theekshana's fitness. He had a side strain and he had to go out of the match after bowling just one over. After the match there was a media conference and Manuka Rajapaksa said that he could be out of the Bangladesh game, which is scheduled to be played on the 24th here in Sharjah. But he'll be hopefully be back for the four games against Australia, South Africa, England and West Indies. But it's not 100% confirmed, but we'll wait and see how things pan out for Sri Lanka in this T20 World Cup. They've done so well in the first round and hopefully they'll be doing much better work in the Super 12s as well. I'm Damit Veerasinghe reporting for ThePapare.com from UAE.
So there you go. That was Damit Veerasinghe giving you the wrap up of what exactly happened. Estelle, it's been one of those very few weeks that we've had in the past couple of years where Sri Lankan cricket has actually elated the entire nation. The three games that they play, I think the wins were very convincing. Against Namibia, Sri Lanka won by 7 wickets. Against Ireland, Sri Lanka won by 70 runs. And then again, Netherlands, it was a cakewalk for Sri Lanka, winning by 8 wickets. If somebody wanted to watch the match at a later hour, I think they would have missed the Netherlands game because it was done so fast. What were your thoughts on Sri Lankan performance overall? Because the team really seems to be gelling and together, and seems like the first round did come as a blessing in disguise for Sri Lanka.
Yeah, I think not a lot of people expected it to be this easy for Sri Lanka to go through in the first round. Of course, it was expected that they would top the round, but the comfort in which they have been able to do it is what has been impressive. That addition of Lahiru Kumara, I think, has really transformed the bowling attack. Previously, a lot of the weight of performing for the with the ball was felt by Wanindu Hasaranga and Dushman Samaraweera. But now Dasun Shanaka has that addition of Lahiru Kumar who brings that real X factor. He's quick, he's able to bounce the batsman out. Um, Also, really support in both the power play and in the middle overs for the other bowlers. Same with Mahesh Theekshana. I think overall, it was expected that he would trouble the uh, some of the lower tier nations because they haven't faced him before. So, as expected, he did quite well against all three teams. Unfortunately, he bowled only one over against the Netherlands. I think he potentially could have had at least 4 wickets if he had completed his spell yesterday. However, I think overall the bowlers have really shone during the last week. Chamika Karunaratne also chipped in, and Dasun Chanaka only had to use the frontline bowlers. He didn't have to go to himself or try out any part-time options. So I think overall Sri Lanka will be really happy with how they win. But of course, we know the harder games are coming up. So it'll be interesting to see how they deal with that added pressure now that they've made it through to the main draw of the tournament.
Yes, absolutely spot on, Estelle. Because, like you said, I think none of us expected Sri Lanka to do so well in the first round, and I don't think anybody is going to have the notion that the second round is going to be as easy as the first round. But I think momentum is everything in big tournaments like this, and Sri Lanka will be very happy at the fact that they've managed to get very important and good momentum going towards their side. Megan, we've spoken about the positives of the bowling of the Sri Lankan outfit. Sri Lankan bowling outfit looks solid from what we've seen, but a cause of concern has been the top order collapse. Sri Lankan top order has been struggling even with Namibia and Ireland, especially against Ireland. If not for Vanuatu's heroic knock, Sri Lanka would have been in quite a bit of trouble because the top order folded very quickly. How important is that Sri Lanka very soon? And do you see a change in personnel in order to fix this problem?
Well, Sudarshana, you correctly mentioned it. I mean, I think even though that we've got a great bowling lineup, I mean, as a combo, our entire bowling unit has clicked, but I think they are not being supported enough with the batting lineup, especially with the top order. Because um, I heard this from Mahela Jayawardena a week ago, I think, when he said that bowlers actually win games. So that is what we've been bearing fruit from, because our bowlers have won our games, but will that be the case come the bigger tournament, come bigger nations where teams are looking to exploit even the slightest opportunity that they have? I think that will be a bit of a tough situation for Sri Lanka, because they really need to fire in the power play, and that is not happening. And the top order is collapsing very soon. We did not see a single partnership from the top order, which we could at least give a tap in their back and say it was a good effort. But there was none as such. So I think that is something Sri Lanka needs to address real soon, and get in someone who is clicking. But change in personnel, Sudarshana, I don't really see anything. As in, what are options? We have Dhananjari Silva in the bench, and of course Chandimal sat out in the last game. But we've tried Chandimal already, and it has not clicked. And Pathum clicked in one match, and of course in the last game he also could not deliver. And then again, sweeping Charita Salanga after just one game, I don't think is another fair call either. So we'll have to see come the first game against Bangladesh, who will take that first three slots, and first three slots seriously should fire for Sri Lanka if they are to carry this momentum through. I mean, we've got a great start, and almost in the entire World Cup is looking at us. So I think this is what we should capitalize on. But the batsmen really need to up their game.
I'll come back to you, Estelle, with this question. We've had this conversation when everything used to be normal and we used to work in office right next to each other. And you were always very vocal about the fact that how Sri Lanka, even when they won the T20 World Cup, won it through the bowlers, and because we did not have the batsman of the sort for T20s, we didn't have out and out hitters. Most of the time, we had accumulators. But again, Sri Lanka have a very good bowling unit who can go out and defend a reasonable score. But getting that reasonable score has been the problem in the run up to the World Cup and in the first few games as well. Do you think Sri Lankans, if we can fix the first top order problem, if the top order comes into form, do you think Sri Lanka can put on a decent score and make a challenge?
Yeah, definitely. I think going back to 2014, although we may not have had, the big hitters that many of the other countries possess, we did have massive experience in that lineup. We had Kumar Sangakkara, Mahela Jayawardena, TM Dilshan all lined up there. So I think that was a huge boon there. But in terms of the batting lineup here, I think Kusal Janit is a massive asset, and he's a massive key to Sri Lanka's success, particularly because Sri Lanka will be playing three of their five games in the Super 12s in Sharjah. So I think a quick whiz had put out some information on the results in Sharjah of late, and according to them, in the 10 IPL games played at the venue, 9 times out of 10, the team that scored more power play runs won. So I think that is a massive stat to look at, and why that top order is so important, because runs during those first 6 overs are going to be critical, I think, when it comes to some of the bigger teams. So um, the batting will have a massive role. Like you mentioned, the bowling attack is good, but they're not going to defend 100, 120 every game, right? They're going to have much better batters to bowl against. They're going to have much better, more experienced players to bowl against. So it's not going to be easy for the bowlers. But if in that top order we need at least one guy in the top three to make some quick runs. I won't say that you need one guy to bat through the 20 overs and get 80 runs or whatever, but um, to get that quick start so that Avishka Fernando, Bhanuka Rajapaksa, Dasun Shanaka, who've been settled in the middle order, have some momentum to build on when it comes to the middle overs and the death overs. I think that is going to be important. Of course, if we can get to, I think, 150, 160, it should be enough for our bowlers to really put on a challenge against some of the bigger teams.
Yes, just Estelle, like you mentioned, I think the Sri Lanka will have to face against better batsmen, more experienced players, and also, most importantly, more equipped analyzers as well. Most of them would have had a very, very keen eye on the Sri Lankan bowling and Sri Lankan batting in the first round. And soon after the first round, they will have a lot of notes and playing remarks that they would have passed on to their teams. So Sri Lanka will be placed in Group One alongside Australia, West Indies, England, Bangladesh, and South Africa. With topping Group A, they avoided the Asian bloc, which is in the Group Two, basically. India, Pakistan, New Zealand, Afghanistan, Scotland, and Namibia. So Sri Lanka's first game is going to be Bangladesh, which is on the 24th, Sunday. Very interestingly, Megan, Bangladesh is a team that Sri Lanka has developed a rivalry against in the last couple of years. Bangladesh have been firing in all accounts, whereas Sri Lanka have been faltering and giving Bangladesh uh, headway into defeating them. So, how important is this game to the rest of the World Cup for Sri Lanka? Because they will be, when you take a look at that group, they will be going up against a team who are almost similar to the capabilities that they have. Although Bangladesh is quite more experienced than Sri Lanka, but this game is going to be very, very important, isn't it?
Well, Sudarshana, just to uh, point out, this should be just another game for Sri Lanka. It doesn't have to be Bangladesh. It doesn't have to be Australia. Every single game has to be just another game, because that's how you progress in a World T20 or any sort of a World Cup. Because I think if you are trying to play the opposition, you are going to lose. So Bangladesh should not really amaze Sri Lanka as a team, as a nation, as a rivalry, whatever. But yeah, Bangladesh have been a good side over the past. Over the couple of years, they have been really good in, especially in the shorter format. They've got good spinners, and that's gonna work for them in come the UAE league. So that's gonna help them. But that also is a point that is gonna bother them, Sudarshan, because they have used spinners excessively, and I think the wickets in UAE are favoring a little bit fast bowlers at present right now. So that might come back to haunt them, because they don't have a proper pace duo. There is Taskin Ahmed and Saifuddin, but I don't think they have really clicked in the games. But again, this could be harsh, but I think Bangladesh are not as good as they are in Mirpur elsewhere, because playing on damp square turning tracks, yes, they are a very tough team, but coming into a even surface, I don't think Bangladesh is as competitive as they are, and their batting lineup is not as experienced as it used to be either. So they have a lot of points that we could exploit on, and I think Sri Lanka should look to exploit those points and really put up a good show. Come because it's the first game and they have to really win it in high note so that they can carry that momentum through the tournament.
There's a thing from your country that I'm totally hooked on, and I am not talking about your tea.
Lanka tiles, designed for you, desired by the world.
Megan, I'll put this question to you again. I'll ask you blankly right out. Do you think Sri Lanka will win this game against Bangladesh? Do you? I know you will definitely want Sri Lanka to win, but do you see Sri Lanka winning this game against Bangladesh?
I mean, look, being unbiased and looking purely on the stats and how cricket works, I think Sri Lanka has a good chance of winning the game, Sudarshan, because they have bowling unit, and Bangladesh, I think, are kind of lacking in their batting department, and if that is exploited, I don't think there is enough bowling power for Bangladesh to stop Sri Lanka scoring something around 130 at least. You know, that should be a very easy total for Sri Lanka. Around even 150 should be chaseable. So I think they'll have to score substantially because I don't see a very threatening bowling unit from them because they're not playing in Mirpur, being asked again.
Brilliant. I like the fact that you did give me an answer analytically and not by the heart, Megan. And we really do hope so that Sri Lanka will go the extra mile, and we really hope that you didn't jinx it. And Estelle, now talking about the team composition, we spoke about how number three is a problematic area for Sri Lanka. They tried Dinesh Chandimal, didn't come good, and they've given Charita Salanka a go in the last game, which cannot be taken seriously as a full game because we only had 44 runs to chase. You see, we have unfortunately we have to inform our viewers that there might be a forced change according to Manuka Rajapaksa yesterday at the press conference with the most highest wicket take of the first round, Mahish Theekshana, who got 8 wickets in the first round, not being ready for Sunday because of a side strain. So there might be a forced change there against Bangladesh. But Estelle, from the core team that we played in the first round, what are the changes that you anticipate and could happen?
Yeah, I think that point of Tikshana's injury is pretty important because I think if he was playing, it is unlikely that Sri Lanka would have made any changes even to the batting. But I do think that they might consider playing Dhananjay De Silva tomorrow for one reason. I think Akila Dhananjay will likely replace Mahish Theekshana, but Akila Dhananjay has not had the best record in the most recent past. He's gone for a lot of runs. And Mahish Theekshana has been critical to Sri Lanka in that power play. I think if you look at the past uh, three games, not the Netherlands game, the previous two games, Mahish has bowled in the power play. He's bowled 2 overs. He's been the only bowler to bowl 2 overs, while everyone else has taken 1 over piece. So he's been very important to that early stage of the match. Whether Akila Dhananjaya can do that job becomes a question because he has gone for a lot of runs in the recent past. So looking at that, I think there is also a case to be made for Dhananjay De Silva to come in instead of Charit Asalanka maybe because he is a more accomplished, part-time spinner. They're both are capable of bowling, but Dhananjay De Silva has done that role before. So that might be a small chance for the vice captain. Of course, he's been benched for the first three games to make an entrance into the team, considering the fact that that power play option with the ball with for Sri Lanka is a problem at the moment because they can't have someone like Wanindu Hasaranga, bowling too many overs up front because they need him in the middle overs to, strangle the batsman and maybe pick up some wickets. So I think that is maybe a case to bring Dhananjay De Silva in. But of course, if they do trust Asalanka with the ball, then I think they will go with the same team and just switch out Akila Dhananjay for Mahish.
Very, very interesting line of thought there, Still, I think I also do agree with you. Got to feel for Dhananjay Silva, though. Sri Lanka's vice captaincy has been a poison chalice. Every time a vice captain is named, some unfortunate incident befalls him. And Dhananjay Silva is actually a very, very accomplished spinner. We've gone into World Cups and Test series with him as the sole spinner of the side. So he's no mud with the ball. So Dhananjay's inclusion might be interesting one as well. But uh, Megan, I'll come back to you on the fact that out of the out of the 5 games, 3 of them will be played at Sharjah, like Esther mentioned yesterday, earlier rather, and like yesterday, Sri Lanka will be maybe changing the template from the initial run up of the first 2 games. Mahala Javaradhan did speak about changing the template for Saja and how important is the fact that we've gotten a run in Saja before the all important second round starts.
Very much. I mean, but I don't know if that is something that we can count on Sudarshan. One game in Sharjah, but I think there are plenty of other cricketers from all the other teams who have played enough and more games in Sharjah in the recent past. Because there were IPL games happening, and prior to that, there were tournaments going on. So I think I don't really see that as a fact to go by. But Sharjah, I personally think Sharjah will be the venue that will suit Sri Lanka the most in the tournament, Sudarshan. Because I'm not gonna say that we can't clear ropes, but I think with our kind of batting, I think the smaller ropes and the kind of bowlers we have, ones like Vanidu Asarango, let's say Mahesh Tikshana, or the paceman. These guys don't rely on catch as an option for a wicket. They rely on stumps. They be really dead straight on stump to stump. So I think with that kind of bowling and our batsmen who are still, I think, are not 100% there yet. So I think for those kind of batsmen and our bowling unit, Saja will be the best ground to play on. And I've been telling this throughout. Our 3 Saja games will be the best ones, and I think we've gone with Saja as a home.
Very interesting thought there, Megan, and maybe you might not remember this very vividly, but for me and Estelle, Saja has presented us with some of the most wonderful memories that we have as Sri Lankan fans, because Saja has been a happy hunting ground for Sri Lanka, and we've had some very, very interesting affairs happening there, and we've sometimes dominated the team like Pakistan, who plays a lot of their cricket in UAE in Sharjah as well. So, like you said, Sharjah seems like our home turf to Sri Lankans, and hopefully they will be backed up by that amazing Sri Lankan fans who've been absolutely vocal. We feel like we are watching a game played in Sri Lanka when we hear them cheer in Sinhalese. Some of the very witty remarks that they make as well on TV. So, interestingly, hopefully, they will be able to back the team. They will be able to back Apekol until the very end. So that's about what's the main focus of cricket in the world currently. But like we told you in the introduction, we are going to bring you everything locally and internationally. And in locally, the young guns of Sri Lankan under 19 team is going all guns blazing. They won the first the opening 3 games of their tour against Bangladesh, and absolutely terrific performance. I think the Sri Lankan under 19 team is getting some very, very valuable match practice against the defending under 19 champions of the world, the Bangladesh cricket team. Megan, you've been a close follower of this tournament. What were your thoughts on the performance by the young Sri Lankans?
I think it's a building phase, Sudarshan, and I think we've been very lucky to find the lot of players that we have found. Grows to the authority, grows to the whoever is in control of that sector, but they've really found some gem. Because people like Chevon Daniel, what a knock did he play in that last ODI? The third ODI, the way he played, it was so matured, and I think that is not something um, that is easily passed upon, because that is what is like lacking in every cricketer. The good cricketer, the great cricketer difference in level, I think, is that maturity. To be assess a game, think on your feet, and perform like what he did. And I think we found a great captain, Dunit Velalage is really leading from the front, and uh, I'm personally I really the way in the team, and he's earned the respect of the boys, and he's really driving it forward. So I think very lucky for Sri Lanka the way they have started their World Cup campaign. So this is the lead up for West Indies, and I think so far so good for Sri Lanka, isn't it? And of course, speaking of talents like Trevin Matthew, and of course Shivan Daniel, I spoke of Shivan Daniel already. So Trevin Matthews, Satish Jayawardene, and Pawan Patiraj. How can I forget Pawan Patiraj? Because I think out of the entire tournament, I think he is the pick of the tournament. Pawan Patiraj. He's been terrific with the bat. Doesn't even seem like this is his first Sri Lanka under-19 tour. Just comes in, plays his game. Doesn't matter what the situations are. He knows he has a composed path for himself. So he'll be going in the same template, and it fixed for him. And when it works, when it clicks, doesn't matter what the situation. And also, I'm impressed with the entire unit, Sudarshan, to be honest, because back a couple of years ago, Sri Lanka had uh, extremely skilled players. Once, like even during the times of Pathum Nisanko or Kamindo Mendes or even Samoa Shan, those players were extremely skilled. But I really did not see um, that drive or that maturity in them back then to take themselves to a World Cup glory. But right now, the way we are playing against the defending champions, Bangladesh under-19 defending champions, I think that is mature cricket, and that should help Sri Lanka at least put their names really high on that tournament. I'm not gonna promise anything as a championship, or I'm not gonna put such hopes there, but I'm seriously seeing a good contender in Sri Lanka this year.
Just to add on to the point that you just made, Megan, I think, like you said, Sri Lanka is playing as a very good unit, and I think the pandemic that is prevailing currently has come in as a blessing in disguise for this the youngsters, because they were in a residential camp, and then they entered a bubble. So the cohesion between all these players who otherwise would have been in different parts of the country is really showing on the field as well. They have gotten to know each other. They are with each other, and they are building up their team spirit to go ahead. And very interestingly, though, Megan, you did mention Pawan Patiraja, Trevin Matthew, Siobhan Daniel, and also Dunit Vellalage, how brilliant of a captain he's been. But I guess it's become a norm that Matisha Patirina performs brilliantly for Sri Lanka under 19. Every time he turns up, that he gets missed at the fact that he performs so well. I think, and how important was Matisha's contributions in the couple of games, the first couple of games, really, and you can see that he's bringing in the experience that he's gathered from playing club cricket, and also playing the franchise tournaments into this outfit as well, and he's using it very well.
I mean, when a team plans for a bowler, coming in as a new unit, we had six debuted in the first game and five in the third game. I think, yes, there were five in the third game. So this is a new unit, and this entire new unit is planning for one bowler and how he's gonna play the game. So that should tell stories, Sudarshan. That should speak volumes for what Matisha Patirana's capabilities. Because you see, Matisha did not bowl until the 31st over in the third game. He was held back because we didn't have much runs on the scored on the board. So he was held back to be used in the death, and didn't he deliver? Come on, I mean, he was brilliant, and especially he is a class apart from that level. He's got pace. He's got. I mean, accuracy has been a little bit of a concern for Matisha Patina, but I think he's worked really well. He's got a good bouncer, he's got his variations right, and most importantly, he's confident. When he comes to, I mean, after playing in SLC T20 League or playing in franchise leagues, and being in all sorts of senior squads in around the world, I think when he comes back to his age group, I think his confidence shows, and that is what we've seen from Matisha Patina so far. And I think the boy has a good run left in him until we see the West Indies. I mean, we see the team in West Indies for under 90 World Cup.
All right. On that note, I think Sri Lanka has been absolutely wonderful. for Sri Lankan cricket. The past week has been absolutely wonderful, and we really do hope that we will be treated to more incredible news in the coming weeks. Sri Lanka, of course, kicking off their proceedings, like we said, against Bangladesh on Sunday, and then we will be seeing them in action against the other nations as well throughout the week. So keep it locked to www.thepapare.com. Our very own Damit Veerasinghe will be bringing you insight and very, very useful information both before and after games from directly from the UAE. So you'll be able to get a closer look at the Sri Lankan performance and also the World T20. So thank you so much for joining us on Sri Lanka's number one sports hub. Thank you, Megan and Estelle, for joining us for this chat, and we'll see you next week as well.
Stay on the ball with the ThePapare Sports News Alerts. Don't miss out on what's happening in the world of sport. Type sports and send to 678 to register. 30 rupees per month. Conditions apply.